This is Lincoln Drive Live on Star 99. I want to thank you for joining us on the air and on our website here today. Also, a big thanks goes out to the following schools for joining us here today at the Mulridge Pollock High School Theater. Mulridge Pollock, Harriet, T.S. Topa, McLaughlin, Little Eagle, and the Aberdeen Treatment Center. Just a reminder for all the students, please turn your cell phones off, not on mute, not vibrate, turn them completely off. We also ask you to refrain from using the restroom for the 2-hour program. It is just 2 hours, so please stay in your seats so we don't interrupt any of the others. We hope that this will be a memorable presentation as it has been over the past years. I would also like to thank the sponsors for bringing you this here today. Automotive Company Links Cove Implement, Lock and Oil of Isabel, Hope and Co-op, Montana Dakota Utilities, Great Western Bank, Mulridge Regional Hospital and Clinics, Campbell County Bank and Insurance Agency, CHS Northern Plains C&B Operations, Northwest Beverage, Dakota Bank, State Farm Insurance, Doug Heil Agent, Lucky's Gas and More, Cam Wall and Morrow Grand Electric, also Key Insurance Agency, Selby Veterinary Service, Moser's Main Street Market, Great Plains Bank of Eureka, Gas and Goodies, Caney Hill, Bauer and Associates, Kessling Funeral Home, and Mulridge Pollock Student Council. Over the past few years, we have had countless speakers give details of their personal tragedy and hope that one day, when you come face to face with tough decisions, that you make the right choice. Today, I get the pleasure to introduce our speakers, Don Ulmer, Pastor Keith and Deb Crabb, Dana Soto, and investigator Al Boley. Right now, please help me in welcoming to the stage Don Ulmer.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see you here today. And I'm just very thankful to have this time to talk to all of you about some really important choices that you can make in your lives. I want everybody out there to realize you have so much value, and it should reinforce that idea, the fact that we have so many people here that are willing to come and just talk to you about their experiences to help you make the choices you need to make. Because your life is a special gift, and make no mistake, it can be taken in an instant, and you need to always be thankful for that special gift of life and realize your own value when you decide to make choices for the future. You know, I've worked with kids for a long time, and a lot of what I do is help them learn how to get ready for college and help them prepare for the workforce and try to set some goals for life and look forward to the future. So as I look at all of you, I'm just curious if you all have in your mind right now some of the things you're looking forward to, even within this next week and in the future years or as you finish your school year. Just think about all you have to be thankful for and all you have to look forward to, because we all have those things that motivate us every day to live our lives the way that we should. In dealing with kids, so often I hear them say, it's my life, I can make my own decisions. It's my life, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to do my homework, it's my life. I don't have to wear my seatbelt, it's my life. I can text and drive, I'm really good at using my knee to drive down the highway. Anybody said that out there? I've heard it. I've heard those comments. And we realize that. You guys are all old enough to make your own decisions. It is your life. You can choose what you do with it. And that's why we're here. Is because the choices we're going to talk to you about today are choices for a lifetime. And choices that mature adults that are ready to be out there using their freedoms wisely need to make. So I want you to think about that. It is your life, and it is your choice what you decide to do with it. There is freedom, and there is responsibility with freedom. Every time we get into a car, we make choices. Every time we go somewhere, we make choices. And when you choose to drive distracted or to drink and drive, you literally turn your car into a lethal weapon. And I want you to realize that. The violence that comes from an accident caused by drinking and driving or from anything is tragedy. It's pure tragedy. And you have to realize that the choice you're going to make is important. Now I realize that you all enjoy being out there with friends and doing fun things, and sometimes partying will become a part of what your lifestyle is. But today I want you to decide that you are never going to drink and drive, that you are never going to get into a car with somebody else who's drinking and driving, and if you can, you will stop others from drinking and driving. And I know when you're at the party and there's people around you and it looks like a fun thing and everybody's joking about how so-and-so made it home and they didn't know how they got home and their car was parked on the deck and their parents didn't understand what happened. And it seems like a funny thing at that point. But it can turn into a tragedy, and that's what we're going to talk to you about today. I had a student, a very kind and good person, and he was in that same situation. He was drinking, he was at a party, and as many times before, he jumped into his vehicle and he headed down the highway to go home. He had made it before, so he wasn't a bit worried about it. He knew what he was doing. His friends laughed as he left, and they discussed how this had happened so many times, and then they jumped in their vehicle and followed about 5 minutes behind. When they looked up ahead, they saw his pickup parked in the ditch. And of course, since they were still in party mode, everything was funny to them. And they thought, oh, he's playing a joke, or he got too tired, or oh, he passed out and parked into the ditch. And then as they got closer, they saw that he was laying on the side of the road. And they still believed that this was some sort of a joke that he was playing on them, so they pulled up laughing and yelling his name, jumped out and ran up and stood beside him, only to find that it was no joke at all. And that young, beautiful man had died alone on the side of the road. See, that is the dark reality that goes along with this choice. That it isn't the party, your friends aren't around. When you make a choice to go and to jump in a car and drink and drive, the chances are someone will end up at some point dying alone on the side of the road. There is no glory in that. There is no fun in that. It is a dark tragedy. And that's why I want you to think about your choices. You can't make the choice when you're under the influence because your judgment is clouded. And I think everybody realizes that. You have to decide way before you are in the situation that your life is going to be lived in a way that you do not create consequences for somebody else or for yourself that are tragic. So that is why this choice we're making today is so important. None of us are here to complain or to want you to feel sorry for us in any way. None of us, it's actually very difficult to bring up old memories and come and talk about things like this. But what our hope is that by hearing it, you will put yourself in our situations and you will think of how it would have felt for you. And then it will help you make a good choice in the future. Now, I understand very well what it is like to have somebody else's choice cause consequences for me. See, our choices will have consequences. We hope they're short consequences, but sometimes they're long term. And sometimes your choice will have a consequence for other people. See, I have always lived my life. I've always been very active. I've depended on my own strength. I've done a lot of things and never stopped moving around. I have a family. We go camping, we go horseback riding, we have fun. I'm very involved in all of their lives. I have 2 older daughters that are grown up now and I'm moving on. And the thing is, my life was pretty good, I can say. And I love life. I absolutely love it. And I know you all feel the same. There's things you look forward to, you love doing. And keep those in your mind while we're talking about this. Keep the things that you enjoy doing. See, one day on March 2nd, 2013, which is actually 6 years ago now, I had grabbed a Starbucks in Bismarck. I had gotten on the road and I was headed to my youngest daughter's district tournament game. So as I was driving, I was following all the rules, had my seatbelt on, wasn't texting and driving, going the speed limit, and I came up to a school bus carrying another team and I decided to pass them before we got to the hill. So I went around them and I glanced in my rear view mirror and another car was coming behind me. It was a family that was passing them. And in that split second, as I pulled back into my lane, a car came out of nowhere, out of control, headed straight for me. Now, I know we all think that in a moment like that, we'll have time. Maybe time to say a prayer, maybe time to figure out how to get out of the situation. I can tell you there was absolutely no time. All I could do was a reflex reaction to pull towards the ditch. And I pulled toward the ditch, only to find that going 80 miles an hour, this person collided head-on with my vehicle. There was nothing I could do about it at that point. My life, as I knew it, stopped right there, 6 years ago. Everything went black. I don't remember anything about, the majority of what was happening after that point. And I sat in my car in complete darkness. I was unconscious for quite a while, and I was very fortunate because the people that were behind me stopped to help. The coach jumped out, and he said he thought I was dead, so he didn't want to come down, but he heard a noise, and so he came running down, cut my airbags away, and he put a rag over my face and tried to stop the bleeding as much as he could. He then looked at the other person, and he was going to go try to help him, and it didn't take him very long to see that man's life had ended tragically right there. See, nobody deserves that. That's a consequence, and nobody deserves it. But it is something that you have to realize, and it is something that was his choice. When he got in his vehicle, he made a choice that whatever happened didn't really matter. Whatever happened to me didn't really matter. Whatever happened to whoever else he ran into, that was his choice, and you have the exact same choice that you can make. But you have to make a conscious choice now that you're not going to let that happen. Because let me tell you, the recovery process for things like this, whether it's you or somebody else, is a long and difficult road. I rode in the ambulance, and it felt like a knife in my chest trying to breathe. When I was in the car, I had been in and out of consciousness. It took 45 minutes for the EMTs to get the jaws of life and pull the engine off of my legs. So if you can imagine sitting there and not being able to move, and not knowing what had happened, and not knowing if I caused this or what had happened to me, it is a very scary and very painful experience. Every breath just stabbed my chest. And my legs were aching and stinging, and I knew that there was not a part on me that could move at that point. I didn't know what was going on because they kept my face covered completely. And as I sat there, I just tried to visualize what could possibly come of this. I didn't know if I would ever move again from the way I felt. When I was in the ambulance, I kept telling myself, okay, you can breathe for 15 more minutes. You can breathe for 15 more minutes. Whenever I would wake up, it was actually better when I would pass out because there was no way to escape the pain other than passing out. So as my daughter sat waiting for me, and my seat sat empty, and she was waiting to be announced and go onto the basketball floor, I sat alongside the road, near death. If there hadn't been people behind me, it is most likely I wouldn't have survived. Every time I drive by that place, I see the cross for the boy who did die, and it hurts my heart to see that, and I also realize there could have been 2 crosses that night, and I'm so thankful that there wasn't. So once again, I'm here to tell you I'm thankful to be here. This is not an easy thing to go through by any means, but I am so incredibly thankful to be here. See, the injuries that happen, if you want to think about a violent act, such as a crime or an assault, my skull was fractured from the very top all the way down the forehead, through my sinus, under my eye. My bones were so crushed under here that my eye was actually hanging a little bit below the other eye. All my ribs were broken, my collarbone was broken, my kneecap was shattered, actually into crumbly pieces. My foot was broken, my heart was bruised, and it was beating at an incredibly fast rate that they couldn't slow down. These are the result of a very violent assault. So if you can imagine, when you get in your car, whatever you're doing, whether you think you're a good me driver and you can text while you drive, or whether you think you can drink and drive, it becomes a lethal weapon, either to you or to somebody else. And you all have too much to look forward to and too much to live for to ever let that happen to anybody. So when I was in the hospital, there was little they could do other than I was on 3 different pain medications, and I had to lay there trying to find a comfortable spot to be in. I couldn't watch TV, couldn't look at my phone. I even had a sign on the front of my room that said, "Don't blow your nose," which for the life of me I didn't understand at that point because I kept reading it and I kept thinking, why is that even there? But it was because my sinuses were fractured. Have you ever hit your nose really hard? Imagine that times 10. When you're in your vehicle driving, imagine your face breaking the window beside you. Your hand flying through the broken glass. Imagine those things. And I think you'll take driving a whole lot more seriously. In order to fix the bones in my face, this side was pushed in and my eye was low, they had to make an incision all the way across the top of my head and literally pull my scalp down and put bolts and plates all the way through my forehead, over my eyebrow, through my nose, and under my eye, which will be a permanent part of me. So I can feel the bolts in my head. I can touch it and I can feel a cold plate up there. This half of my head is still numb. I have no feeling in it. And I'm not saying that so you think, oh, poor thing. I'm saying that because that is the dark reality of what comes from those types of choices. So they did that surgery, and afterwards I remember the doctor saying, no matter what she says, no matter how bad it hurts, don't you loosen that bandage, because they had to put staples in to hold my scalp together, and the bandage was tight enough so that if it wouldn't swell and pop the staples out. And when you hear that, it's a difficult time. I can't tell you how it was to get comfortable at this point, because there was no position that helped. And so it was one of those things you just endure until it's done. And thankfully, there was a point at which that pain did subside a little bit. So after weeks in a hospital, literally weeks just sitting in that bed with no comfort to be found, I found out that I may not ever get to bend my knee. Because that kneecap was so shattered, they put pins and plates and staples in it to hold it together. And I had to keep it in this brace for 3 months with no movement whatsoever. So see, all of my plans for that week, for the next 2-3 years, changed. All of it, and it doesn't just stop there. It's not something that you just recover from and then there it is, it's over and you can go on with your life. There are lasting effects, lasting consequences from these decisions. And the thing is, my consequences came from the choice somebody else made. Now, how frustrating is that? That is why, once again, you have to remind yourself, nobody can make this choice for you. It is your choice. It is your choice to do the right thing and to make sure that you don't put yourself or anybody else in this situation. So the days in the hospital, they got brighter. This is a happy day when we can actually think of taking the bandage off finally and maybe starting to move a little. But it is just definitely not what you expect, even when it's time to go home. So for 4 months I was in a wheelchair. I stayed with a person, she was a nurse and became a very close friend of mine. She had a hospital bed. I stayed there for 3 months. I couldn't get out, I couldn't do anything on my own. I literally had to have everything I needed around me so that when they were gone, I could reach everything I needed. In order to get out of bed, I had to try to lift my leg with one hand and then move over and try to get in my wheelchair and try to make it to the bathroom if I needed to go. It is a pretty helpless feeling. And for somebody who's used to going 90 miles an hour, that could have been a devastating feeling. Day after day, night after night of only fighting pain and only laying there and watching my kids have to go out. The world went on without me. They had a lot of things to do. And just waiting and hoping that someday we'd get past that point. It's a long and lonely recovery. I was so thankful there were so many people around to help. The community of Mobridge and the communities I was from at that time were so helpful and helped me get through this devastating time. But when you're in a wheelchair for 3 3-4 months, and then from there it went to a walker. I was told I probably wouldn't work for a year, but I did go back to work, and I'm sure you can imagine if one of your teachers had an electric scooter, and every time she was going by your classroom, she's buzzing by an electric scooter, pulling all her books behind her. It was a humbling experience, because that's not a fun thing for everybody to watch. It went on and on and on, and now 6 years later, I'm finally at the point where I can stand up and say, I'm thankful, I can ride a bike now, I can do some things that I never could do, and I'm thankful for that. I will keep saying that as long as I can. But I am reminded every day of what happened because of somebody else's choice. I am reminded because after 3 surgeries on my collarbone to fix it, I still have a collarbone that's in 2 pieces. So if I reach for something, I can feel the bones slide across each other, and if I reach too far, they get stuck, and I have to make them go back to where they're supposed to be. That's a reality. That's a reality that comes from making the wrong choices. My kneecap, I'll never be able to kneel on my kneecap, but I spend my time thinking of the things that I can do and not thinking of the things that I can't do. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, is as you go through these things, as you go through life, when you're making these incredible choices, remember to think of what it is you can do and what it is you can accomplish in life. And not to be devastated by things like this and decisions you've made in the past, because you have time right now to make the correct choices. You know, we're going to talk about some heavy subjects today, and it all comes back to, I want you to keep remembering that it is your choice. It is your choice to make the right decision, and never to drink and drive, never to let anybody, and never to get in a car with somebody who has. But I don't want to leave you with just the heaviness. I know high school students well enough to know that everybody out there is facing something difficult in their lives. And I know you've gone through things or made decisions in the past that you're not happy about. But I want to remind you there's hope. And I am actually a witness of hope, because when I laid in that bed for those months, and for 2 years I couldn't sit on the couch and watch TV because it still hurt too much. There is hope to get past whatever the tragedy is that you are facing. And I want you to just keep that in mind. There was a time when I was at my darkest time, and I was in a wheelchair, and my youngest daughter was trying to help me into the car, and I knew I was a burden on her, and she had to drive me everywhere, and it was a tough time. And I looked at her and I said, Krista, I am so sorry. I said, I will be strong again. I promise you I will be strong again. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, you still are strong. It's just in different ways. And I've kept that in my heart for my whole life. And I want to remind you of that. When you feel your weakest, when you feel alone and lost and hopeless, you are strong in different ways. You build strength through pain, you build strength through tragedy. You can build that strength, and you can make your life matter. But the most important thing is make the choices that will keep you alive and that will keep you here with us, because you are so important. I spent a lot of time listening to Miley Cyrus' song, The Climb, which is hilarious now that I look at, but I play it over and over and over because somehow it just helped me. And there was a verse that I always leaned on that said that when you hope in the Lord, He will renew your strength. And He will help you fly with wings like eagles, and run and not to be tired, and walk and not faint. There is always hope. Don't ever give up on the hope that you have and the strength that you have to complete your task here on earth. Because each day is valuable, and you have to decide each day what you're going to do with it. Scars, whether it's emotional or physical, are only symbols of what you've survived. So keep on working, make the choice that is yours to make, and keep everybody safe around you, and realize your value each and every day. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your lives.
Thank you, Don Oliver. We're going to be back in just a moment after these messages live on Star 99.
Oh. How do I back up? it's a video there. I don't know what you did now. It was a mess. Right back to the slideshow. Start from where you're at.
We'll likely have a few videos, so if you guys can please just stick with us and stay quiet, we appreciate it.
I can't see it upside down. Start from where you're at. No, it's where you're going to be here. You got to start the slideshow from there, from this slide. This slide. And I'll hit it. Start with my little thing.
October 6th, the day that changed the life of 19-year-old Sarah Bray. On that day, while sending this text message, Sarah crashed head-on with oncoming traffic.
No.
Hello, this is your emergency. We have a very bad wreck Market Street 46. So we have to get his car shut down. I'm not sure what it is for the driver. I want you to have to be in it. Yes, really, they have to be in a car.
I never thought that that would happen to me, and I was told a million times about how dangerous it was, and I never listened, and then it kind of it happened to me. It did.
Sarah had just taken her young nephew to Walmart to look at Halloween costumes.
And then we were done. We got in the car just like normal. I buckled him up in his car seat and drove off without putting on my seatbelt.
On her way home, she was texting and driving.
And I almost crashed, but then
Sarah looked down to respond to a text she had received from a friend asking, "Are you home?" and began to respond by typing the letter N.
and I didn't get the O on. I only had the N, and I was starting to go into the ditch. So I fixed myself, and I overturned too much to go the other way.
An oncoming car swerved to miss hitting Sarah's vehicle head-on. But Sarah's vehicle hit the swerving vehicle on the passenger side, and according to witness statements, went airborne and began to roll. It landed upside down, with Sarah partially ejected and pinned beneath the driver's side door frame and the pavement. Sarah's vehicle was then struck by a second vehicle.
When I was ejected, landed on both my collarbones, and across my chest, breaking those. So I had to get a plate put in to one of them.
Sarah wasn't wearing her safety belt, and she sustained serious injuries during the crash. Her nephew, who was properly secured in his car seat, was not injured.
And having all these injuries is really painful. And especially having my nephew in the car, I could have killed him. And that would have been, I wouldn't have been able to live with that.
Her injuries left her unable to use her arms.
All the skin is on my arm, so I have to get a skin graft, which they have to take some of my skin off my body, off my thigh, with a machine and stitch it back on.
During her time in the hospital, Sarah had to learn how to walk and use her arms again. She spent a lot of time in physical and occupational therapy.
Physical therapy, and it pretty much helps me learn how to regain my strength walking and going upstairs, bending down, just everything in life that you're gonna have to do. Because when I first got in here, I couldn't walk and I couldn't use my arms. I couldn't even feed myself for the first 2 weeks.
Since her crash, Sarah has joined forces with the Ohio State Highway Patrol and the Ashtabula County Drive to Survive program that teaches juvenile traffic offenders the dangers of texting while driving.
You would think how texting and driving can be so dangerous, and how easily you can lose everything when you just send a text.
If you're distracted, you are not driving.
All right, again, welcome to Pick and Drive Live on Star 99. Our next speakers, I would like you all to help me in welcoming Mr. and Mrs. Deb and Beef Craft. Thank you.
Monday morning, December 8th, 2014. Phone rings next to my bed. I look at the clock, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, as a pastor, it's not totally unusual for my phone to ring in the middle of the night, but it doesn't happen often. When it does, it's never good news. People don't call you in the middle of the night to say, hey, we had a baby. No, it's usually someone is in the hospital or near death. So it's not totally unexpected. I answered the phone, and what was unexpected was the voice on the other end. The voice was Sergeant Hyde. He says, Keith, are you home? I said, yeah. He says, you need to come down here. We're outside your front door, and we need to talk to you. Immediately, my mind starts to race and my heart starts to sink. Our youngest son, Ben, was in the National Guard, and he'd been home over the weekend for guard drill. But we knew that he was safe back in Sioux Falls because we talked to him the night before. But still, you know it's not good. And I look out the window, and I see Sergeant Hyde, and behind him is a police officer. I've heard about these visits in the middle of the night from a police officer, and it is a visit that no parent wants to get. I open the door, and I look at Sergeant Hyde, and I said, this doesn't look good. Should I go get Deb? And he says, yes. You need to go get Deb. Is when Deb was down there that we had the news that validated my worst fear. Ben had died in the middle of the night. It's a suicide. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to call my other two children. Tell them of that news. But all this time, my mind is racing and thinking, and you're wondering how, why. And my mind immediately went back to another phone call. It was a phone call that I received when I was in my office back when Ben was in high school. And it was back when Mr. Frederick was a principal here, and he called me and he says, Mr. Kraft, you need to come to the office. Your son is in my office talking about experiencing dark places. It was at that I started to make connections between mental illness and suicide. And yet, this act that Ben had committed, that Ben had taken, was totally unexpected to us. It was something that we did not expect.
So Ben was just a normal kid. He grew up in Homeridge. There are numerous people here who knew him. He was in athletics, he was in band, he was in music. He especially loved vocal music, and he was a 4-year all-state choir person. School, well, the activities were important, but not so much the schoolwork. You know, he got average to above average grades because he knew his parents expected it. He was very, very social. We even had a teacher say, what happened to Ben? We're like, what do you mean? Well, he's so talkative. Your other two were really quiet. We're like, that's just Ben. He talked to everyone, strangers, wherever he went, he talked to people. He was independent and he was opinionated. He was a very ordinary kid. And if you really question that, ask Mr. Frederick. He was his principal during high school. During the time that we got our phone call from Mr. Frederick asking us to come in and talk, one of the things we knew then when he was experiencing those dark places was that he needed counseling. And so we were able to get him counseling, and he enlisted in National Guard before he was a senior in high school. He actually went to basic training as a junior in high school. And we wouldn't have sent him to basic training unless we were sure that he was able to mentally handle that. The counselor had talked to us and said he just needed some help with coping skills. We've given him those things. He's doing really well. There shouldn't be any more issues. And so we were confident that after he completed basic training that he had seen and experienced the worst that there could be. And so he went on and graduated from high school, went to college. And so really when we got that phone call, we were not expecting it. But what we found out was there were a lot of things about Ben that he had kept hidden from us, things he didn't want us to know. We also know that Ben didn't fit the normal mold of what we think of with people with mental illness or people who commit suicide. And so we want you to be aware that just like Ben was an ordinary kid, your friends and you are ordinary people. And to be aware of the people around you, because we all need some support.
That's the reason we do this. Is because Ben didn't fit the mold and he kept it hidden. And we made the decision after Ben's death, even before his funeral, that we were going to talk about it. We are not going to keep it hidden, because suicide and mental illness comes with a stigma. And we need to get rid of that stigma. Because it is only through getting rid of the stigma and getting people to talk about it that maybe it won't be hidden. Because maybe if it wasn't hidden, we would have known some things. So by the numbers, everybody hates statistics, but that's okay. I'm going to go through these quickly. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. In 2017, over 4,000 deaths for suicide. That's 129 people a day die by suicide. And what's even more scary is in 2017, there were 1,400,000 attempts at suicide. 1,400,000 attempts. And that's probably not all of them, because not all of them are recorded. 9 out of 10 people who die by suicide have a mental illness. Suicide is a mental health issue, and we need to think about that, and we need to realize that.
In South Dakota, one person dies by suicide every 54 hours. It's the second leading cause of death for people between the ages of 15 to 44. There are 163 deaths statewide annually. And unfortunately, South Dakota ranks 9th in the nation for suicides per 100,000 population. So it is an issue, and it is a health emergency.
So what are some of the warning signs? We're going to go through a couple of different ones. One is listen to how people talk and think about how you talk. Do they talk about killing themselves? Is there a hopeless feeling? Are they talking about having no reason to live, being a burden, feeling trapped? unbearable pain. Now, also remember that while we're talking about this, not everyone will show symptoms. Our son kept it hidden. Even his teachers, professors in college, his friends, there was only one person who knew how suicidal Ben was, and she never talked about it.
When we look at behavior, we know that when there are changes in behavior, increased usage of alcohol or drugs, looking for a way to end their lives, such as searching online for how to do it. If they've withdrawn from activities, things they used to find enjoyable. If they're isolating themselves from family and friends. Sleeping too much, or, in Ben's case, sleeping too little. Visiting or calling people to say goodbye. Giving away treasured possessions. Sometimes it's aggression, undescribable fatigue, and risky behaviors. That person who has to take every dare, who has to take every chance, who needs to prove that they're immortal, sometimes really is trying to push that envelope, not caring about what would happen. There are also changes in moods, so it can include depression, anxiety, a loss of interest, irritability, humiliation or shame. Sometimes it's agitation and easily angered, or in some cases there's relief and a sudden improvement. Often when they've made a decision, they're happy, but realize that not everyone is going to show all of these things, but sometimes if you know your friends well, you can pick up on those things and you can help.
The other thing is a lot of these symptoms are things that we notice 20/20 hindsight. We may not realize them at the beginning. So, mental illness. 20% of 18 to 25-year-olds experience mental illness. 1 in 5 people. So, there's a little over 10 chairs in a row here. So look down that row. 2 of you, there's a good chance that 2 of you are experiencing a mental illness of some sort. Think about that. It might be you. I bring that statistic out for 2 reasons. One is that's high. 1 in 5 people experience mental illness. The second thing is if you're the one that's experiencing that mental illness, know that you are not alone. There are other people who are experiencing mental illness as well. So many times when you're experiencing that mental illness, you feel like you're isolated, you feel like you're alone, you feel like you're the only one. You are not alone. Other people are experiencing that same thing. Both mental illness and suicide come with a stigma. That's why we're talking today. Mental illness plus a stressor can equal suicide. Not always, but it can. I should have put it the other way around. Suicide equals a mental illness and a stressor. What do I mean by a stressor? Stressors are normal, everyday things that everybody goes through. We got a test. What am I going to do after graduation? My parents are fighting. Bullying. These are things everybody experiences, and most people survive them, but you put that stressor in combination with a depression or an anxiety, and you have got danger lurking.
One of the things that we often don't talk about is the fact that people with mental illness can go on to live productive lives. And you need to realize that many people learn to cope with it and to go on. So as you look at that, if you're experiencing a mental illness, realize that it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of physical weakness. It's just part of life at this time. If you're experiencing mental illness, talk to someone you trust and seek help. Again, people who receive treatment can go on to lead productive lives. And if you're having suicidal thoughts, again, seek help. That idea of suicide can come back over and over, and it's something that you need help to work through. Talk with that adult. Realize you are valued, and people want to see you alive, and they want to see you in their future.
So as a friend, you might not be experiencing it, but you might know if somebody is. Talk to them in private. Listen to their story. Don't try to talk them out of it. Don't try to change their mind. Listen. Listen to what they are saying. Tell them you care. Show them you care. Ask them directly. If they're feeling depressed, ask them directly, are you thinking about harming yourself? Encourage them to seek treatment or contact a doctor or a therapist. Do not debate life's worth living. They don't really care. To them, their mind is saying it's not. And by you telling them that it is, it's only going to make it worse. This is not, oh, the sun will come out tomorrow, Hakuna Matata. Because they don't really care. Because their mind is already lying to them, saying, this isn't worth it.
And you have to realize, really, that our mind does play tricks on us. And in a suicidal state, your mind is playing a trick on you. So if you know a person who's considering suicide, take it seriously. This isn't something that people joke about. And asking them, are you thinking about harming yourself? Have you thought about how you would do it? Doesn't plant an idea. You don't give people ideas about that. Stay with them. If you know that, be with them. Help them by removing lethal means. So we know in our case, all it would have taken is for someone to have taken the keys for the gun safe. If you know, and again, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. They have qualified people, and they do an excellent job. Those are numbers that we need to know, and we need to help other people to know. You can also text TALK to 741-741 to reach a trained crisis counselor. So you might not feel comfortable coming to someone in Lowbridge, but realize there are people outside of our community who want to talk to you, who want to help you. And last, go with them. If they are willing to stay with you, go with them to mental health services. Say, I'll go with you to the counselor. I'll go with you to the emergency room. Tell someone. Tell them an adult.
Oh, me,
What'd you do?
I think I broke my arm. Start back here and I tripped.
You did. Are you sure?
Yeah, don't tell anybody though. I don't want them, you know how people talk about people who are clumsy? I don't want those people out there to know I'm clumsy.
Well, why can't I tell anybody? Are you sure?
Yeah, and don't tell Coach Ford, because then he won't let me wrestle, and he'll think I'm physically weak because I broke my arm.
Well,
So don't tell him.
but you can't keep that a secret. That's a broken arm.
And don't tell my parents, because you know how protective they are. They won't let me go out. So you gotta promise me, don't tell anybody.
Well, no, maybe if we wrap it up tight, and maybe we can do that. Maybe we can hide it.
We'll just do it together, okay?
Okay.
All right,
that
just
sounds good.
promise me, don't tell anybody.
Okay.
All right. That was really stupid. Wasn't it? If you knew somebody who had a broken arm, you would say, don't tell anybody, we'll fix this together. Same thing with mental illness. So many times, hey, we're friends. We were not going to share this with anybody. Mental illness is an illness. You as a friend are not qualified to help them, other than to encourage them to seek help. Our son and his girlfriend were the only ones that knew how suicidal Ben was. We found out afterwards that Ben had threatened suicide 2 times. We didn't know about it because they had a pact. They were going to get through it together.
We also know that on the night that this happened, that Haley had been concerned and she had asked the police to check on him. And when they asked him, he said, "Oh no, I'm just fine."
That was midnight.
That was midnight, yeah.
He died at 2:30.
Again, not really in a state of mind to make a good decision.
You matter. That's why we do this. We care about you. People care about you. You have hopes and dreams, and not only do you have hopes and dreams, we as society have hopes and dreams for you as well. We cannot wait to see what changes and what good things you are going to do for our communities and for our society.
And we know there are things that Ben could have done, things that Ben would have loved. He has 3 nieces and nephews right now that he would have adored. The oldest one he knew, and he carried a picture of her with him. That's not a typical uncle. So we know these things, and we know you also can impact others.
I am Ben. I am of Keith and Deb, Lee and Darlene, Don and Thelma. I am a brother of Melissa and Alex, Andrew and Jessica. I am an uncle of Julianne. I am the best friend of Haley.
I am the foothills of Washington Springs, the riverbanks of the Missouri. I am a child of Eaton Seminary and Wilbur Schools. I am a young man of Northern State University and Augustana University. I am the farm. I am the city. I am the small town.
I am a warrior of the South Dakota National Guard. I am a 200th, a proud builder of bridges. I'm a veteran of Afghanistan. I am theater, Northern Fork Players, and Black Hills Playhouse.
I am music, drama, and speech. I am an advocate for the voiceless. I am a hunter, the lover of the outdoors.
I am joy and happiness. I am pain and depression. I am the person you see. I am the person I keep hidden deep inside. I am confident. I am uncertain. I am hope for the future. I am despair for today.
I am a child of the church. I am a person of faith. I am loved by God and by many. I am Ben.
Because of our son's suicide, Deb and I both carry 2 scars. One you will see, one you will not see. The scar you will not see is the scar that we carry inside. The emptiness, the hole that our son has left. The other scar that you can see, mine is on my forearm. It's a tattoo. This tattoo is a result because of the scar inside. And the first part of the tattoo is a semicolon. This semicolon represents that we have been touched by suicide. But more than that, it means that our story, Ben's story, does not stop here. We are willing to talk and to share Ben's story. We are willing to talk to you if that is what you need. But talking to us won't stop with us. Because I'm not qualified to help you any more than your friends are. But I would sure go with you, I would sure encourage you, I would sure support you to seek that help. The tattoo, the semicolon, is a representation that we will talk and we will share to try to educate and to try to break the stigma of mental illness and suicide.
The tattoo that I have has a semicolon in the center surrounded by a heart. It was a birthday present to myself in November. I saw a good friend of mine just this past weekend, and I had on a short sleeve shirt. Sarah looked at me and she said, "I'd have never figured you for a tattoo kind of gal." And I looked at her and said, "I probably would never have if I hadn't experienced Ben's death. But it seems to me that there's some way, without me having to stand up in front of you, for people to know that I am willing to talk about suicide and that I have been impacted by suicide." So when you see that semicolon, remember, there are people who are survivors. There are people who want to see you survive. And so remember that we have some resources. You have friends who care about you. You have things like the suicide hotline and the text.
You do matter. You are important. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb and Keith. We're going to hear these messages right here live on Star 99.
I was at a middle school basketball game. I was in 7th grade, just watching the game like I would on any other Wednesday night. I got a phone call from my dad. "Hey, we need you to get home as quick as you can. We have a driveway that's about a 10th of a mile long. You come around the bend," and I saw all the cars there, and I knew at that moment something was really wrong.
It was in December 2009. My oldest son, Caleb, was 18 years old. He had just finished his first semester of college. He decided he was going to go Christmas shopping with a friend. On the way, he looked down at his phone to read the text message, and he veered into the oncoming lane. There was an SUV carrying a horse trailer with 6 horses in it, and he hit them head on, and it killed him instantly. So much to live for, and just the happiest kid you'd ever know, and all of it's gone because he had to read that text message. And it wasn't even an important message, it was something think that's what some people don't realize. The messages that are being sent back and forth when people are driving, they're just silly messages that don't mean anything.
It just takes one little thing while you're going 55 miles per hour in a car to mess everything up forever. We'll never get to talk to Caleb again. We'll never get to do regular day things with Caleb again. We used to go on Sundays and play baseball, and something that simple, taken for granted before, it's gone now. I can still talk to him, but I'll never hear back from Caleb.
Caleb was an amazing person. He had a good heart. He loved people. But he was a person. He was real. He was so real. He was bad at sports. He was goofy. He made the stupidest remarks sometimes. But he did this one thing, and he thought that it wouldn't matter. But it did. It's so easy to not die from this, and it's just don't do it. I don't want people to have the same story that we do, the same sadness and depression that we carry around. I don't want people to have that.
Just trying to, hold the family together was tough. As soon as I got out of bed, I wanted to make a bed, so I wouldn't get back in it. You can't get back into bed and cover your head up and give up. You have to keep going for the other kids and kids would want you to. Of course, I had a lot of time alone, but I cried a lot. I never thought I could cry so many tears in all my life. There's not going to be an end to this for you. Not for your child. You just don't stop that movie. Ever, I don't think. Every single day, day doesn't go by that I'm not thinking about him in some way or reminded of him. This is my life now, and I just have to keep going for him and try to help another family from having to go through this. I do it any chance I get. If I cry a little bit, it's okay because it's for Caleb. And I love him still. All my heart, so. I would like to give it one more hug.
And welcome to Think and Drive Live on Star 99. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Dana Soto.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be really honest with you. I have been beyond nervous because I don't know what to say to get it through your heads how serious this is. I was in your seats not that long ago, and nothing that anybody said at these things got it through my head until I lived the story that I'm about to tell you. So, like I said, I was in your seats just a few years ago, and so I know what you look forward to on the weekends. I know how important your friends are to you and what they think. I know that it seems like your parents don't know anything, and your teachers don't know anything, and you don't need to listen to them. And as Deb said earlier, or Dawn said earlier, it's your life, it's your choice. I get that. I've been here. Now, I want to bring home the importance of what Dawn and what Deb and Keith said. It is your choice, and you have choices, and there are consequences to your choices. No matter what choice you make, there's a consequence. And it doesn't matter if you feel like the person next to you wouldn't care if something happened to you. You also affect, you matter to the people around you as well. So, this is me back in my high school partying days. Like I said, I was right where you are. Every weekend, I looked forward to what we had going on in a neighboring town or in my town or anything like that. I was in band and chorus and student council. I was on anything you could possibly imagine being on. I was part of the homecoming royalty. All of the partying, there was always something going on. That's all I ever looked forward to. So I always made these choices that I didn't think anybody would be affected by. I thought, my friends are doing it, I'll do it too. We'll figure it out when the time comes. And it was a good time. I'm not going to lie to you, it was fun. But you need to understand that there are, like I said, there are consequences to your choices. So, every weekend, as long as I can remember in high school, this is what we looked forward to, and this is what we did, and I know you guys have prom coming up, and you just finished state basketball tournaments, I believe. So, we won our conference my senior year of high school, and I didn't get to join my best friends starting my entire senior year on the basketball court because of a decision I made right before my senior year. So here's homecoming loyalty my senior year also. So I can relate to you guys. So one night, me and my best friend kind of traveled all over the state to have fun. And one night it did get completely out of hand. Now, I want you to understand, honestly, the next thing I remember, the sun was coming up. And it was time for me to leave wherever we were. And so my friend threw my keys to me and said, "See you next weekend." It was about, I think about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I decided I should attempt to drive home. I don't know how far I made it. I know that I passed out while I was driving. I had a Dodge Ram 1500 at the time, and I didn't roll, I didn't hit anybody. Luckily for my conscience, I was the only person involved in this accident. But, so I actually went into the ditch and hit an approach, going, I have no idea how fast, and I fractured my spine. So, I want you to look at this. I understand that none of you probably know how to read an MRI. But, so if you see here, all of these are perfectly square. Those are your vertebrae. And the one towards the top is not. This white piece here was my nerve canal. And I hit that approach going so fast that when I came back down, I fractured my spine into my nerve canal. I'm lucky to be standing here. I was told by my doctor that another centimeter and I would have been paralyzed. But I'm also very lucky to be alive. This was almost 10 years ago. And so the consequence, I'm going to go over the consequences of this decision for me to drive when I had been drinking. First of all, I had obviously gotten in a lot of trouble with the law. I got a DUI, reckless driving, underage drinking, open container. There were multiple things that I was charged with during this point. So, consequence number one, I did spend an evening in jail, and when I did, so I put another one of my friends into a really bad situation. He was close by to where the accident was, and he wanted to be there, but he couldn't be. So I took that ambulance ride, scared out of my mind, back to Balton, and did x-rays, and they told me that everything was fine. I had just strained a few muscles. 5 days later, I went to Aberdeen, got an MRI. They told me I had been walking around for 5 days with a fractured spine. So that summer, I did obviously get in trouble with the law. I put my family in a very, very awful position. My mom passed away when I was just a baby, and my grandparents took care of me and my sister. So for my grandma to get that phone call, this woman that had given up her entire life, the rest of her life, to raise 2 teenage daughters that really put her through hell, got the phone call saying, "We don't know if she's okay." After she had already gotten 18 years before that phone call saying, "Your daughter is no longer with us." I can't imagine what went through her mind. I know she was terrified. So, with a fractured spine, I don't know if you have any idea how much of your movement has to do with your spine. I had to learn how to get out of bed again. I couldn't move. My hair took hours because it hurt so bad. It has been almost 10 years, and every time I sneeze, you guys, I'm not kidding you, it hurts. For probably about 5 years, every time I laughed, it hurt. So it's just always a constant reminder. And this is another consequence of that decision that I made to get in that car and drive. So, about 3 months later, school started again, my senior year, and I started my senior year in a back brace. I don't know if any of you have ever seen what a plastic back brace looks like, and I don't have the thing anymore. I'm sorry, I didn't save it just for you guys. But it was awful. It was embarrassing. It went from about here up to here, and it was plastic. I mean, I was just completely, my entire trunk was just plastic for 3 months. And so that's when I started my senior year. And then as the year went on, I found out basketball season started. I was so out of shape, I couldn't work out, I couldn't do anything. So I entered my senior year of basketball completely out of shape. I had multiple injuries that year because of this decision that I made to get in that car and drive. Like I said, I didn't get to join my co-captain, my best friend, on the court to start any of our games my senior year because I had to sit out for 2 games. So that really stunted my growth as an athlete as well. There were other things that I didn't get a chance to participate in my senior year because of this decision that I made to drive drunk. So after I graduated, I went off to college, and I still had a lot of trouble with my back, and that led to this lovely picture. So, there are 2 metal rods and 28 screws in my back. You can see the rods, you can see the screws, and it's painful. It took me about 2 years to get back to my normal routine after this surgery, which was another year and a half after the accident anyway. So to this day, like I said, it's been almost 10 years. And I have always been very active. For instance, like Deb said, you know, she had broken all of her ribs and her collarbone, or Dawn, I'm sorry, had said, you know, she had all these injuries, and this particular injury follows me everywhere I go now. It decides what I do. When I used to play softball during the summers, I went to go throw the ball to home base, and my collarbone locked up and is now sticking out. You can't see it, but it's very painful. My ribs have a tendency to shift out of place. Also very painful. So since my spine can't move, the rest of my body makes up for that. I can't lift anything more than about 25 pounds. I can't turn around. If I have to look at something behind me, I have to turn my entire body around to look at it. There's so many restrictions I have now because of that choice that I made to get in that car and drive that night. It was morning. So, that's what I looked like about a week after surgery. And it's, like I said, it's followed me my entire life. I am unable to play sports much anymore. I do a little bit of it. It basically results in me being in pain at all times for weeks at a time if I do. So that was another consequence of my decision. Now, this is my best friend. She's been my best friend since we were in 5th grade, and she was supposed to be in that car with me that night. Luckily, she had left with somebody else, and she woke up to multiple voicemails, a bunch of text messages. Everybody thought she was dead. Nobody could find her. She wasn't in the hospital with me. Her parents had no idea where she was. So that changed my decision, changed her life as well. Like I said, you do not let your friends drink and drive. You don't allow them their keys to get in their car to go. That's not what your friends do for you. I want you to understand that you have the choice to say no. You have the choice to stay sober and drive your friends. You have the choice to stay where you're at. You have the choice to pick up your phone and call your parents or your teacher or somebody to come get you. There's absolutely no reason, there's no excuse for you to get behind that wheel if you've been drinking. And I understand if you're gonna do it anyway. But you have a choice to be the sober driver. You have a choice to give your phone number to your friends You have that choice to not end up with 2 metal bars and 28 screws in your back. You have that choice to be able to participate in all the activities that come with your senior year of high school, or the rest of high school as well, and college, and your next career. These are choices that you have to realize, and at some point, yes, it's fun, like I said. It was a lot of fun, but somebody's going to get hurt. And if it's not you, it's going to be one of your friends, it's going to be your parents, it's going to be your siblings, it's going to be somebody is going to be hurt by this decision that you make to get behind the wheel and drive after you've been drinking. So I encourage you to be aware of your choices and be aware of the consequences of your choices. It's a big deal. Don's whole life was because somebody decided to get behind the wheel and drive. And my life was turned upside down because I decided to get behind the wheel and drive. And at that point, alcohol impairs your decision-making skills, it impairs your reaction time, and it's important to have somebody, if not yourself, to tell you, this is stupid, don't do this, it's not worth risking your life.
Let's hear this message. You're listening and watching Think and Drive Live on Star 99.
And that's why dark things sometimes happen. How do I go about my life and get reinforced enough for what had happened? I don't know how. My name is Marshall Dragon, currently in Wild West for the youthful offender system. There was a lot of things that I did wrong that led up to it. My mom and my stepdad had gone up to the mountains for the weekend. The party it's just like a typical party. A lot of people are drinking, a lot of people are smoking. I didn't start smoking. That was probably the first thing that I did. At some point, my work was up to me. He's like, man, all the girls I was talking to left. Okay, so I leave with Bo, and I tell Jackie, I come ahead and from the parking lot to meet us there. We just got into the car, and we drove to the house. We pretty much got the nod. We got told that we can't come in. Now I'm drunk, angry, and driving. It wasn't even like, yeah, I'm gonna take the quickest way and go right back to the house. It's like, I'm gonna drive fast and kind of go for a little joyride almost. I'm gonna rhyme and say, slow down. It's weird how fast it all happened. It was over, I had no control.
Marshall, are you there?
It's weird when you see that.
Marshall, can you hear me?
Looked at him, and after knowing this kid for so long, I just knew that he wasn't there anymore.
It's just impact to a lot of people.
When you see him, it's almost like he's like vibing with his life, right? And he's just gone. And I'm thinking that because of me, 2 people are dead, and 1 is seriously injured and in a wheelchair right now. He's not even walking. There is no way to do that. There is nothing that I can do that's going to make this better. There's nothing that will make the families feel better.
I come down about these days about every other weekend. You know, back down here in a couple weeks, and it'll be fine. But that's always tough.
Well, I love my mom, so it's always the best.
I've always been proud of Marshall, but I would say this transformation, I'm really proud of who he's become.
I don't have any ambitions to drink. I don't have any ambitions to smoke. If I could take back anything from the night, it'd be the drinking and the driving. You gotta think about what you really want to get out in life. And you gotta realize that you don't need anything else but you to get there.
All right, hey, once again, we want to thank everybody for being here today. We've got just a few seconds left on the commercial break. You can see the earplug in my head. We're trying to do this both live on the radio and live here for you, so timing is of the essence. Well, again, my name is Spencer Gosh. I don't think I introduced myself. I am your local District 23 legislator that I go to down in Pierre. Some of you I've seen here this year in Pierre. Some of you I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet. But one of the points that I want to try to get across to many of you here today is we have seen an individual that has had almost every bone in her body broken by a poor decision, and another individual who has had one of the most important bones in her body broke due to a poor decision. These are the success stories. That's one thing I want you to remember is those two individuals are the success stories. They're alive. But unfortunately, we couldn't find any of the hundreds and thousands of people that die every year in South Dakota to come talk to you about the unsuccessful stories. We are seventh in the country for DUIs and deaths for drinking and driving. That's something I want you guys to think about. It's something I want you guys to try to help change here in the state of South Dakota. Without further ado, I'll introduce your next speaker, Mr. Officer Al Bolin.
I got called yesterday afternoon to see if I'd come talk to you guys. It didn't take me a whole long time to make the decision that I would. I strongly support this program, and unfortunately, the guy that was supposed to be here talking today couldn't make it. He's been here, I think, every year, and that's Mr. Ken Ripley. And I've just got to do a little shout out for Mr. Ripley, and for those of you that have seen him talk or heard anything about it, this is for you. Little inside joke, but it's got your guys' attention now. Wise decisions. Once again, my name's Al Bolin. Married to Brandy, just a short history about me. I'm the father of 3 boys and 4 girls. Unfortunately for my wife, all 4 girls are dogs. I like sports, hunting, and fishing, so I might refer back to that a little bit today. I started in 2001 with the Selby Police Department. I was a chief, K-9, bomb squad, everything over there. In 2003, I moved to Mobridge. That's quite a few years. Do I know everything? No. But the one thing I want to get through to you guys today, too, one of the things, is learn from others. I got a couple of pretty high honors here. I'm going to forget to do this all today, so. One of the things I do is I'm on the Northern Plains Safe Trails Drug Enforcement Task Force. What that is an FBI-based task force. We're based out of Pierre, South Dakota, and we work all the way from Nebraska border to the North Dakota border, but we go way beyond that. I've seen it, guys. I've seen it all for drugs. Fentanyl, one of the largest fentanyl cases in the state I was there on. I've seen the despair of the children involved. I watched probably 2-year-old kid run up to a toilet, a dirty toilet, dip a cup, and going to take a drink out of it because that's what he was going to do. Thank God I seen it in time and stopped him. But I've seen what drugs will do to you. The other job I'm in is the South Dakota Division of Criminal Investigation. I'm appointed as a Special Attorney General for the state of South Dakota since 2017. What that means is if someone in the state has problems, I can go help them. I can go help them with investigations, stuff like that. I'm just telling you guys this just to give you a little background on me and what I'm here. The one thing I want to get out, not only just to you guys, but to the listening crowd out there, the ones watching on YouTube. Parents, you guys need to listen to this crowd, okay? Aunts, uncles, moms, dads, cousins, everybody. This has to do with you guys too. It just not isn't these kids here. And a lot of this is going to come back to you kids in a few years. You might not be thinking so, but it ain't going to be long. You're going to have your own family. You're going to have your own kids watching you. That's where half of this stuff comes from. I like to play this song a lot when I talk. You guys heard of Rodney Atkins, Watching You? Awesome song. For those that haven't heard of it, it talks about a little boy that goes with his dad through a drive-thru. As he's driving down the road, he hits a bump and he spills his fries. Now guess what? It's followed by a 4-letter word that Dawn said I can't say. So, the father's all upset. Well, that night he gets home and tucking the little boy into bed with a Scooby-Doo nightlight, and the boy gets down on his hands and knees. Well, guess what? The little boy watches more than just the 4-letter words. He learns from you. And that's what I want to get through here, is parents, your children learn from you. If you're out there and the kids see you doing something, it's going to directly affect them. One of the things, if any of you guys knew my dad, I get told all the time, you are your father's son. Yeah, I act like hell. I do a lot. I'm proud of that. But you know what? That's the way it is in life. Children act like their parents. This is a quote I seen yesterday I thought was really good. Children have never been very good at listening. God tells us that to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them. You are your father's son. Uncles, aunts, you're the heroes. They watch you. Pay attention. Okay. To wise decision making. Yesterday when Dawn called me, she made a decision. Should I call Al and see if he'll come help? I guarantee you, knowing Dawn Caldwell and knowing myself, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, that's probably not a very wise decision. Getting Al in front of all these people to talk. But it was a decision she makes, and I hope it was a good one. If I told you guys right now that you could make a decision in the next 5 minutes that's going to affect the rest of your life, would you believe me? You can make a decision in the next 5 minutes that could affect the rest of your life. Guaranteed you could. Every decision you make could affect the rest of your life. I hope you don't want me to break dance or anything during that. So, here you are. You got a decision to make. Consequences. I believe it was Mrs. Ulmer talked about consequences. Everyone kind of talked about consequences. Any decision you make could affect the rest of your life. Good or bad. You understand that? You got good or positive or negative consequences. Today we're going to basically touch on the negative ones. Bad consequences. You could end up being disgruntled, you could be lonely, make a decision that affects your relationship. Your friends don't want to be your friends. Your girlfriend don't want to be your girlfriend. Your boyfriend don't want to be your boyfriend. You could be lonely. Or worse yet, you could end up in jail or dead. Don't make those decisions. Don't make the wrong ones. I'm not going to sit up here today and tell you that don't make any bad decisions. You're going to make bad decisions. I've made bad decisions in my life. I wasn't the perfect angel growing up. Some people might think I was, but I did the wrong things sometimes. I was the lucky one. I turned out okay. Okay? Even if you make a bad decision, you're not going to ruin the rest of your life. You could, but you got to try not to. You got to turn that around and try and make something good out of that. Very wise man once told me, that didn't all print out, but it says, if you have to question your decision, you probably shouldn't do it. Makes sense, doesn't it? If you have to think, God, should I be drinking this beer? Should I be driving 90? Should I be jumping my electric scooter off the table? If you have to question your decision, you probably shouldn't do it. Makes a lot of sense. There it is. I've never claimed to be a computer master, okay? Obviously. All right. Binge drinking. You guys are going to have that decision. You probably have already had it. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay? Funny. What could be so dang fun filling your mouth and pouring beer into it? Getting so drunk you don't remember anything, that you're puking all over, that you have alcohol poisoning. Trust me, alcohol poisoning is not funny. I've seen it. I've had to rescue people from it. But it's a common thing. It's nothing new. Binge drinking's been around since I was in school. Use it, make good decisions. That's the only thing I can ask you guys. I can't tell you to not go out and drink. Is it going to matter if I tell you don't go have a beer? Don't go binge drinking? No, it's not. You're not going to care. But all I'm asking you to do is make wise decisions. Is that too dang difficult? No, shouldn't be. Binge drinking. It's not good. It's been a problem for 50 years and it's going to keep being the problem. This is something that has absolutely nothing to do with drinking and driving. The next one. But it's a huge problem. Sexting. Make the right decision. Funny. I would bet over half the people in here have sexted. It's not good. I haven't, so I'm one of the few. There ain't no one wants to see that. But here's the deal, guys. Have I investigated it? Yes, I have. It is criminal. If you have someone send you pictures of themselves and that person is under legal age, it's child porn. Yes. Have I made those arrests? Yes, I have. That ruins your entire life. Right there's a decision that can ruin the rest of your life. I see some people out here that are National Guard, that have joined the National Guard. I salute them. One bad decision. Child porn. They're not going to be in the National Guard anymore. It ruins their whole life. Think about your decisions. On top of that, you all know that once it's on the phone, it's on the phone. I got an analyst that I work with through the task force that will prove that to you. You don't believe me? Bring me your phone. I'll send it down to him. We'll get the images off. Prove it to you. Making tough decisions about the people in your life. That's tough. You don't want to run with the bad crowd. You got to choose who you want to be with. If you got a friend that's constantly trying to get you to do the wrong thing, to sex, to have sex, to drink, to smoke dope, whatever you want, that's maybe a person you need to get out of your life. You need to be the person, the friend, that leads people in the right way. Here's a little saying about that. If you lay with the dogs, you're going to wake up with fleas. That's pretty powerful right there when you stop and think about it. Surround yourself with good people, but also be that good person. Okay? Be there for the support. Give your friends alternatives instead of going out and rolling a joint. Okay? One of the things I'm the most knowledgeable about, it's pretty simple. Don't do drugs. I'm not going to sit here. No, I am. I'm going to sit here and tell you guys not to do drugs. But I'm not going to get into a political debate about it. Marijuana, I don't think it should be legal. That's my personal feeling. You guys have your choices, whatever. This is my trip to Colorado. Yes, I went to Kush Gardens. Dispensary trip out there, I didn't buy nothing. I went through, learned about different things, and I'm pretty darn sure by the time I left, they knew I was a cop. But they were great about it. They walked me through, told me about different stuff. Back to marijuana. Also known as cannabis. Colorado is one of the main first ones that legalize it. That's probably one of the more popular things right now. Driving around Colorado, you see, the last time I was out there, you see people with signs that will work for a hit. Are you kidding me? And this is good. How about a tote? Signs sitting at people at the Walmart shopping where you pull into Walmart. Colorado now leads the country in opiate abuse. Since they have legalized marijuana, they lead the country in opiate abuse. Why is that? I don't know. My feeling is people start drinking alcohol, they're not healthy with alcohol, so then what? They start smoking weed. After that, they're not happy with weed anymore. Now it's legal to smoke weed, just don't excite them. Let's start taking opioids. That's the only thing I can think of. Marijuana. My dad smoked it, my grandpa smoked it, never hurt them any. Well, I'm going to tell you guys right now, the marijuana that we're finding out there today isn't your daddy's weed. That's not the ditch weed we find over at Java. The stuff, it's all medical grade marijuana that we're finding now. The ditch weed that you could smoke a quarter pound of and now you can feel a buzz isn't around. So that is why marijuana is a problem. People don't know how to adjust to that. All comes back to a decision. How bad do you need that toilet paper? I think I'd be making some different decisions if that was me. Edible marijuana. That's something that's pretty powerful with kids nowadays. THC, listen up guys. Edible marijuana. It comes in candy bars, it comes in gummy bears, it comes in pop. You name it, they put THC in it now. But I'm going to tell you something. You guys go to Colorado and you pick up some edible marijuana, you pick up some candy bars and bring it back to South Dakota, it's a felony. Marijuana is a misdemeanor. But if you change the makeup of marijuana, if you alter the tetrahydrocannabinol, THC as I like to call it, that makes it a Schedule I offense. So it's a Schedule I felony. That's the same as meth. It's the same as coke. You got it in your fancy new car when you get pulled over. Guess what? The state's going to seize your car as well because it's a scheduled substance. Something to think about. One of the problems with that, you ask why that is. When you buy we'll say a chocolate bar in Colorado, it comes like the old Hershey bars with a bunch of squares. It says right on the directions that one little square is what you're supposed to take. No more than that. Who can take a Hershey bar and eat one little square? No, you eat the whole Hershey bar and then you overdose. And yes, you do overdose on THC. Prescription pills. We have been very, very lucky that in Mobridge, we do not, that I can recall, had a child overdose on prescriptions. Not adults, but it's one of the more popular things. They touch it, you reach it in, you're grabbing grandma's hydros, you're going from there. Then you're drinking it with booze. What's it say on every bottle of prescription pill? Don't take with alcohol. Those pharmacists don't go to 8 hours of school, or 8 years of school to 8 hours, I better have been able to make that. Methamphetamine. That just kind of basically touches what death is. There's a bunch of the names for meth. Meth don't hurt you, right? This is a lady from Los Angeles, California, that was arrested for prostitution starting in 1980 through 1988 is the series of pictures. She was a pretty normal looking gal when she first began. That's at 79, and that's at 88. A little bit of a difference. Why would you do that to yourself? Make the right decision. People think that this isn't true. I can show you people in Mobridge, South Dakota, that I have dealt with in other places in South Dakota, that were decent looking people through the use of meth, they have just went downhill. I was going to touch on the one pot, but we're going to skip that for time reasons. And we're going to talk a little bit about distracted driving. Just a second. I just got a text message. Spencer, why are you texting me? You're distracting me, right? The same thing. You guys all know that. That was pretty lame. But I'm as guilty as anyone. You go out there, you're driving along, you get a text. I put hundreds of miles on a day, a lot of times. And you get the distracted driving. It's just not texting. How many things are wrong with this picture? Doing a password, he's got his darn dog sitting on his lap, which I see all the time. No, he wasn't texting and driving, he was doing everything else. When you're going through life, I just want you to think about this. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, yeah, I am going to tell you guys shouldn't smoke dope, you shouldn't do drugs. But the biggest thing in life that I want you guys to know is always think before you do something. Because you will never know how it will affect your future. Think about that. Every decision you make is going to affect your future in one way or another. When, like I said, I'm not going to tell you to not go out and do risky things. I'm not going to tell you to drive your bike, don't ride your motorcycle, don't do this, don't do that, okay? Don't do drugs. Don't binge drink. Don't drink until you're 21. But think about your decisions, okay? I want to thank you guys for listening, being a good crowd with me today. If you guys ever have any problems with anything, don't hesitate to give me a call. If I'm not at work, they will get a hold of me, okay? I am here to help you guys. Thank you.
Something really funny. You should have seen the text I sent him. We do want to take the opportunity to thank everybody for coming out today and thank our terrific speakers and sharing their stories and their family stories. We also want to thank the Mobridge College High School for using our facility. We want to thank the Mobridge Student Council for helping us out, put this all together. Of course, Amy Shue for our technical assistance. And we also want to thank many of our fine sponsors, Automotive Company of Linsco Lipperman, Lock Oil Elizabeth, Holden Co-op, Montana Dakota Utilities, Great Western Bank, Motors Regional Hospital and Clinics, Campbell County Bank and Insurance Agency, CHS Northern Plains, CNG Operations, Northwest Fabric, Dakota Bank, State Farm Insurance, Down Ohio Agent, Lucky's Gas, Campbell and Mortal Grand Electric, Key Insurance Agency, Selby Veterinary Service, Moser's Main Street Market, Great Plains Bank, Eureka, Yes and Goodness, Tango Bauer Associates, Nissen Funeral Home, and the Moldridge College Student Council. We also want to remind students, please stay seated. You will be released as your transportation and or instructor for the Moldridge College students releases you. Once again, thank you for listening to Think and Drive Live on Sunrise.